Hi everybody, this is Ed and Fast Track Video again. I am making a, how would I call it? I didn't know I had this Facebook page, and just in case if Facebook decides to dismantle it, because I have a feeling that they have a tendency of doing that, I decided to make a video on this. And this is for people that have a lot of questions pertaining to, they're making decisions, a major decision to move out of one state like California and move to another state like Oregon, Texas, Atlanta, South Carolina, North Carolina, whatever that new state is that they're moving to. There's some really good tidbits of information I have, but this one's particularly targeted to Texas. So just think of anything that is related to Texas, maybe related to that state, and you'll have to do some researching on that. But aside from that, key thing to think about in terms of this, moving is really something that is an art in itself. This is just one technique that I created, and this was by the grace of God. It wasn't something that I really planned out. But if I had to change something in the process, I would include looking for work and having the job being the importance of wherever I move to. Because some places where I move to, in the case where I'm at right now, I did not get any job opportunities yet. And I did get one, but it only lasted 5 months, and that's in the past year and a half. And that doesn't look good on my resume to be out of work for over a year. So just some tidbits of information to help you in case if you make that decision. Now moving downward here, I'm just going to scroll on my information here. And granted, you can see, you probably can find this, Leaving California, Useful Tips to Plan Ahead. That's my little forum. I haven't got anybody interested in this, and it might be just because, I have this open and people just go on it and just see it for themselves. But I don't see anybody put any likes in it or, gee, I appreciate this. And it's not unless I'm sending it to somebody in another group, then they're very happy about what I do, and they wish that they had the information sooner. So I'm just going down the list here, driving a 26-foot Penske truck tips. First and foremost, I pray drive in the daytime only. And the only reason why I say that is because I have heard stories of people driving at night and they get hit by a wild animal or something, and it causes some problems with their vehicles. Maybe not so much on a Penske truck, but if you're driving a car or a pickup truck, it's a risk that you take at night sometimes. I picked up my Penske 26-foot truck in Vegas and followed slow big rigs to get familiar with the truck while I was driving into California, because I was going back from Vegas to, I flew out there and then I picked up the truck. Let's see what I was saying here. Make wide turns when turning. Remember the rear wheel distance from the rear bumper. Most important, plan your drive. It took me 4 days from California to Houston, 1,570 miles. I stopped at Buckeye, Arizona, then Las Cruces, New Mexico, day 2, near Bourne, Texas on day 3, and Houston, day 4. Make sure to be on the road around 8 a.m. Don't drive below a third of a gas on the truck, because you never know. The gas gauges can be not right or correct, unless you know for sure that you can get your truck to a gas station. So because there are some distances that are about 2 hours apart, and you don't want to be like down to a third of a tank and saying I'm going to challenge it and go all the way the 2 hours, and that may not work. So just tips of the trade here are, unless you know for sure you're going to get to the gas station, don't drive with fear. I can't emphasize that any more stressful. I mean, granted, once you get out of the city kind of things, in the case of me out of California, and I'm heading into Buckeye, which is past, Phoenix, Arizona, you're basically getting into rural areas, and it becomes a lot easier. You're not going to be seeing as much city as you're going to see just driving on the land or on the freeway. So, it won't be so bad. Regarding packing the truck, make sure you have a balance on the load. Definitely a must thing. You do not want to end up packing a truck where all the weight is on one side of the truck, because if you do have to make a sharp turn or something, that truck could tip. So balance your load. The truck rental place can explain to you how to do this. You can come to the rental place with all the questions you need about the truck, and they'll be able to help you. I felt more comfortable driving the truck on day 3, and it was when I was driving in upcoming major cities that I had to stay on slow lanes. But for the most part, it was just highway driving. Happy travelings, praying for you. I always pray for people. Choosing the right lender. This is an interesting topic too. My first lender on my first house I purchased in California was not helpful than the one I did have to the house I bought in Texas 9 years later. Normally, the realtor you choose is going to have their own lender, and that is a truth. So you want to end up not having them manipulate you to go to their own lender, because most likely their lender may end up telling you, like me 9 years ago, we can't give you that loan. And that doesn't seem fair. Shop around. There are lenders out there that will wheel and deal because they want your business, as opposed to some that are trying to manipulate you. I almost thought I was not able to buy a house at all because my 20% down payment was worthless to the lender on the realtor I chose. The realtor gave me a second realtor to help me while that person went on vacation. Well, the realtor had the lender that helped me in finding the realtor for me. The moral of the story is this: do your own shopping for a lender. So, moving on. The differences between California and Texas taxes. This is a good one here because a lot of people ask this question in a lot of forums. What is the difference? And I'm not going to go into detail with this here, but I'm going to tell you, in California, you have state tax. In Texas, you only have federal tax. What Texas does is it wraps the ISD, which to me, it was like it can vary between $2,500 and $4,000 a year. That's probably the biggest part of your tax, your property tax on the property itself can be just as expensive, and you're paying $8,000 there, plus the sewage charges for mud. And those three things are really the core of your taxes. I got verification after I got all my taxes done from the city, and they said, no, you got everything done. It's those three. So those are the three that you really have to focus on. There will be an estimate that's given to you by April. If you pass April, then it'll be the following year that you'll get information. Or they may just end up saying, well, you're just going to have to go with the flow for this year. I don't know. I was before April, so I was able to get my tax information, and they were able to resolve it. Let's see here. Smart home, your new home. What I did to avoid smart confusion. Now, I'm going to just go briefly over this because I'm not going to go into reading all of this also. The bottom line is I came into this new house with the idea of brand new appliances across the board. But what kind of appliances do I get? Do I get Samsung, or mix it with GE, mix it with LG? I have a whole broad variety of appliances. But the one thing that kind of stood out of my picture was the one thing that was brand new in my old house that I took with me to bring it into the new house over here. And it was very new. as new as the year that I bought it, or that I bought the new house. And that was the LG CX 65-inch TV. And I started to think after I started to make about to start to make a bad purchase is I bought Samsung and I think some other brand, and I stopped it and I said, you know what? Can I, because a lot of these appliances now are smart compliant. So can I have everything LG? And then he came up with a package that was nothing but LG for a washer, a dryer, and a refrigerator. And those are the devices because I already had the stove brand new and microwave, which are GE. I'm just going to wait till those things burn out and then I'll get LG appliances for stove and microwave as well. Then I'll keep everything compliant to LG. And LG has an app where you can add all the appliances together in one app and you can control things. It is fun. So just that's what I meant by the smart home, your new home, is keep it all one brand as opposed to multiple if you can. I mean, I understand maybe you can't. So next question is your DMV registration about to expire in California after you move? This happened with me, and the bottom line that I did is I didn't pay for anything. I wait till the penalties came, and then they just kept sending me mail that said, now you owe, from where it might have been like, let's say 250, now you owe me 270. Next month, now you owe me 290. Next month, you owe me 340. And when it got to the point of maybe the third month, because when you're here in Texas, it takes a month to 2 months to get an appointment for registration. So this is the stuff that you gotta, each state may be different. In the case of Houston, it's about 2 months. So with that being said, I'm just basically saying to you, get your registration in. Get your truck inspected or your car inspected before you get in the registration because they will require that too. If you can, it's a separate thing to the registration. It's not like the DMV in California that does both the driver's license and the registration. These are two separate businesses. And you can go to the, you can go to the, I think it's the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles or something over here in Texas that does nothing but your license. And you can get that done a lot sooner than your appointment for registration. So get that done. And then from there, and make sure that you get your, if you can, get the smog done, because I think the smog's more related to the registration now. But, you'll be surprised. The pricing on things are significantly cheaper here than California. I got 9 years on my driver's license as opposed to 4 years or 2 years in California. I don't know what it is. But, and it was at a price of $35. Registration on my truck, normally it's about $120 in California. Mine over here was $75. And I did have to, but you have to pay for registration, for smog every year here in Texas. So, and that would be about $20, but I'm not bothered with it. I'm still getting a better benefit than being in California. So, let's see here. Moving it down here. What did I do to buy a home? These were the step-by-step procedures that I did. Prior to buying a home, it was first and foremost, I prayed. I made sure that God wants me to move. After all, everything I am about me is Him, so He is with me, and I always do things for His glory and not my own. Plan on where you want to move, but like I said earlier, make sure that you also might want to plan on getting a job first, wherever you're going. See if you can get a job. Talk to people if you can. I'll be honest, there's another technique that I didn't do that I probably would have done is when the house closed in California, push everything into storage in California and then just go driving around the United States, start to meet some people, go on a summer vacation, for a month or 2 months. And because if you're planning on buying out a house all out, most likely wherever you're going in the destination, if you can get the job first, what you can do is you can also buy a house at the same time. And when you buy the house, most likely because you're paying it all out, like it was with me, I could have done this, but they said you can have the house in 2 weeks. So there are wheels and deals on things with builders, or when you're buying a house fully paid, that they may reduce everything about escrow to a few weeks, and then in a few weeks you got a home. So just some thoughts to think about. I'm just trying to make this as worthwhile for everybody, so you get everything that you need in planning about buying a house and moving out of California. Excuse me, or moving out of anywhere. Plan ahead where you want to move to. That seems obvious. Talk to a tax advisor. I've heard so many stories from when I was leaving. Oh, you're going to be paying for excess California tax. None of that happened. I mean, there is, from the work that I did, if I did it for 4 months or 3 months, I have to pay taxes to the state on that. But everything else, it's wherever I'm moving to, that's the taxes on that place. Talk to the DMV and state to get vehicle registration insured and inspected. Do not pay DMV anything if you're nearing expiration on California. I mean, you're just basically throwing money into nothing. So, I mean, I'm just trying to let you know, you don't need to do that. Let it penalize, because they can't, if your vehicle and your whole life is moved out of California, let's say in August, like it was with me, for 3 months, they couldn't do anything other than charge me for penalties. And then when I had a documentation and you have to have a documentation and send it back to California, a copy of it, not the whole original one, because what you're doing is you're basically saying to the DMV, I've already got my truck registered somewhere else. I'm not, I don't have any need for registration in California, and they won't be able to do anything about it. So I have heard some mixed viewpoints on that, where they do go back after you or something, but it's a real touchy thing. So I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. Next one, talk to people who have moved to the area of interest and network with them. That's another good thing, because they're going to know things that they'll be, more than welcome to give you pointers and tips on things. Plan a trip in a few places. With me, it seems obvious it was just Texas, but that goes to the point of what I was just saying, when you're looking for a job. Depending on what kind of house you want to buy, you may need a realtor. In the case with me, I got a realtor anyways in Texas, but in the end, it was a builder that I ended up buying a house from, and it was already an inventory house. It was not a house that needed to be built. Because it's an inventory house, it's already built, it's like ready to come on in and live in it. So think about that too, because you can buy inventory houses, and most builders have a lot of them up. Number 8, think of what you like about your existing house and what you did not like. This will help in choosing what type of house to buy and whether you want everything in your existing house. And the moral of the story with that is, I wanted to move into a house that was 1 story as opposed to 2, because I'm getting up there in age and I don't want to fall down the stairways, and I don't want to take care of a large backyard that's going to, consume a lot of my time. So I bought a smaller footprint of a lot size, but I got a larger house that's 1 story. So that was just what worked with me. But everybody has something different. So number 9, find a truck rental outside of California. Definite importance, because you're going to find better prices on renting a truck in Vegas than you will anywhere in California. Guarantee it. I saved about I'd saved about $2,000, $2,500. So that's really good money. And just to let everybody know, I didn't add this in here, but very, very important. All the money that you paid for expenses in the move out of California is tax deductible. Make sure that you talk to your tax advisor in the new state you're moving to, that, I'd like to have these things tax deducted. But, that's a given. At least it was with me. I mean, the tax advisor told me. So next one, number 10, check out Leaving California, but Leaving California is no longer it got wiped out, and I think it was because it became too big and Facebook didn't like them. And that's the thing that I'm a little bit concerned about my side over here. That's why I'm making this video. Blessings for you and your moving expense. Did you know, that's about the tax deductible things. I already talked about it. My favorite famous moving tips. You can come to this site if you like to see if you can get this information, but it's still available right now. Here's a picture of my house when I first bought it, brand new. That's about it. Hope you enjoyed this. Take care.